Learning unit number 12 on social isolation and loneliness and the impact of that on health. And we will be talking about suicide this week, so I want to make sure that you're aware of that. And let's go forward with what this learning unit entails. And I think you're going to enjoy it because we're going to use an evolving case study. So let's look at the topic description. And by the end of this learning module, you're going to be able to compare and contrast the concepts of social isolation and loneliness. And you're going to be assessing and planning a care plan and a plan of action for an elderly man who has been assessed as being socially isolated and who does demonstrate warning signs of suicide. So you're also going to be reflecting on the impact of a loving kindness meditation, and you are submitting your loving kindness meditation um, this week. So let's go over what you're going to be doing. There is no Smiling Mind assignment this week, but as always, I do hope that perhaps you do a meditation or a learning session on Smiling Mind. Mother Teresa has said when she was asked to name the worst disease she had ever seen, most people did think she would say leprosy or AIDS, but she didn't. She said it was loneliness, the terrible feeling of being unloved, unwanted, and forgotten. So you are going to have a quiz, and your quiz is going to test your information on the CDC website. So make sure before you open the quiz that you look at this information on what is social isolation and loneliness. So you're going to look at the definitions, who it impacts, and while we will be talking about an elderly patient, an elderly male patient, please know that social isolation, those that are at risk for that, include many different factors and populations, but do include young adults. So that is inclusive of obviously a university student population. So you're going to read through that information, take the quiz, and then you're going to get into the case study. Of course, at the end, you're going to submit your loving kindness mindfulness meditation. But within this folder, and you know it's a folder because of the picture of one, you see case study. And you're going to see a case study begins, evolves, and ends. The questions that are within each one of these are the questions that discussion board 12 asks you to answer. So I'm looking at discussion board 12. Remember, that's within the folder this week, but you can also access that up on the top toolbar. You're going to be answering 4 questions in your discussion board. What are your concerns for Mr. Isolated? That's the name I gave this gentleman. What are the risk factors or predictors of social isolation that you see in Mr. Isolation or isolated? What are the negative health outcomes of social isolation? And especially those that Mr. Isolated is experiencing or can experience. But you're just going to talk about overall the negative health outcomes of social isolation. Then you're going to see as the case study evolves, Mr. Isolated tells you that he is considered killing himself, and you know that he has a gun in the home. So the final question that you're going to answer is, what do you do? And this is a case study, so you're going to realize that you are a nurse in an outpatient clinic. And so to answer this, make sure you have searched the programs and the topics that are provided in the case study. It's called PA 211. And please know you're not going to just let Mr. Isolated go home. You're going to talk with other healthcare providers, example, the physician at the clinic. You're going to call in other resources. So don't just say you're going to let him go home with a referral somewhere, okay? I just want to make sure you know that. There are no replies required this week. And this post is going to be due on Sunday evening. So um, now that we've looked at the discussion board, let's back up. And for a minute within this folder, you're going to see a case study beginning. And here is your scenario, so you can read through what the scenario is. These are the 2 questions that you should be able to answer. 2 out of the 4 questions you should be able to answer at the end of this information. And here are risk factors for social isolation. My apologies. I usually turn off my inbox here. So, okay, so you are going to do this and the information found in here, and you maybe want to just write down your answers to those 2 questions. And then that's the beginning of the case study. The case study evolves, and here you can read the case study evolving. I'm not going to read it out to you. Here is the 3rd question you're going to answer on the discussion board. And you're also going to look at the social connectedness tool. So make sure that you're looking at all of the items within the case study. So that is the case study evolving. And now the case study is going to come to a conclusion. So this is where you're going to be helping Mr. Isolated, who has suicidal ideations, is the medical term. And please note, you're going to look at and find that these sources here that I provided to you are going to be helpful in answering that, along with warning signs. And discussion part 3 is, what do you do now? That's the 3rd or the 4th question. And you're going to include at least one resource from the Human Service Directory PA 211, and that's also provided up here. But you can click right here, and you're going to search our programs and then scroll to topics. So let's do that together to make sure that you know what you're going to be doing. So when you click on there, you can't see the top, but it opens up to United Way, Pennsylvania 211, and click on Search Our Programs. So you can either put something in if you have an idea of what you want, or you can look through these resources. You're going to need to have at least one of these resources that perhaps you are going to give Mr. Isolated the resource. But you're also going to assure that he is safe. So now you're going to go back, and there's also, I wanted you to look at the crisis intervention website, and that might be more helpful. That's for those in Erie, Pennsylvania. And then the final thing is, I want to make sure everybody knows about the suicide hotline, and you just have to dial 988. So you can read through that information, especially if you don't know. And don't forget to submit your loving kindness mindfulness meditation, and you can find the information by going to the assignments tab, clicking on the assignment, and you can make sure you have looked again at the grading rubric, resources on how to do a Screen Pal video, and then that's where the digital Dropbox is going to be. You're going to add your Screen Pal link, URL, to the Dropbox. and have a very good week.